For this collection, I want to use white terracotta. So I'm going to grab this container right here. And then I'm also going to grab one of these containers right here. So I should be able to just get this container out without having to move anything. Two of these smaller containers right here. So we'll snag two of these. Need the saucers for these as well. So I have two of these containers right here. Here's the containers that we're going to be using. I'm going to grab the watering can. I received a ton of topiary, and I have two lemon cypress here that I want to get planted up in a collection of their own. It would be very beautiful to go in and keep them the shape that they are now. I just love lemon cypress because when you do this and you smell your hands, you can smell lemon, and I love the smell of lemon. But for this collection right here, it's going to be going inside of these white terracotta pots. A little bit of the stats on lemon cypress. Your lemon cypress are going to be hardy to USDA zones 7 to 10. So since I live in the St. Louis region, which is a 6B, I cannot keep these on the outside of my home, but I can bring them in the wintertime and actually all throughout the year with proper lighting and treat them as a house plant. Lemon cypress are not going to want to get below 20 degrees. You may experience a little bit of damage below that. While I love lemon cypress, right now I really don't like the shape of these. We're going to get these potted up and we are going to trim these beautiful babies. This one is more slim. If we turn it all around so you can see the plant profile, and this one right here is more on the bushy side. We have a good opportunity to come in and really play with this lemon cypress. So first, let's go ahead and get them in the terracotta pots that we have here. I brought out two smaller white terracotta pots, and if you do not have any white terracotta pots as part of your container collection, you need to seriously think about adding white, because white just goes effortlessly and I just love it. I have more of a tall neck terracotta, so when you see it like this, it's called a tall neck terracotta. And then I have one the same white, but the lip is a little bit different. The lip has, the detailing on this lip is different than the detailing here, but that's fine because they're all white terracotta, so the collection will work just fine. And I also have the saucer for these as well. So we have this one for the shorter container, and this one for this one right here. So everything fits nice and perfect. So we'll just set these off to the side right now. You guys see the hellebores in the window here? Okay, now can you see the hellebores in the window? Actually, let's pop outside because I know I got a lot of question about the weather and things like that here, because I want to show you all what those hellebores in the windows are looking like. Got snow, and the hellebores in the window look absolutely amazing. And then the hellebores over here look amazing as well. Hellebores, they're able to survive in this weather because hellebores are going to be some of your first perennials that come up in your garden. If you think about it, if you provide the same environment on the outside that they're used to having, you're able to do things like this. So I've been doing this for a very long time, you guys, but everything looks good. I will get up close so you all can see what the hellebores look like, and I'll show you, especially the ones that's covered in snow. The ones in the window box are provided with a lot of protection because we have an overhang here for our home. So they have a little bit more protection, but these right here are out in the element. They have shown how strong and a workhorse of a plant they are. Let's get in close and take a peek at these gals. Here's the hellebores up close. They have snow on them. When I looked out earlier, this whole entire container was literally draped in snow. So our moss basket still looks good here. If we go around, everything looks good. We got a little bit of extra protection from the moss, just like we wanted. You can see that we still have new blooms that's coming out. And the snow here All of this will be melting soon. So this is what they look like up close. We walk to the ones in the window box. Window box look just as beautiful. All the way across. They look good. I mean, just beautiful. And I can see that something has been digging down inside of my containers because I had this moss bumped up to the stem here. Guys, we're able to see what the hellebores look like when the temperature drops down into the 20s, and then factor in the wind chill, it may be even a little bit colder, right? So you guys see what they look like in a protected environment. You guys, this is the real deal. But I will say that I got a ton of DMs about this, and everyone was wondering, like, are they going to survive? One person even said you need to pull those out now, and was giving me advertisement on what would happen if they got snowed on. You guys, I am not new to this. I have been container gardening for a very long time. Do I have plants that fail? Absolutely. Because you have to factor in sometimes nature and things like that. Now, when I put these outside, our 10-day forecast was saying that everything was going to be peaches and cream. And then all it takes is a shift of something to happen, a storm come in from the coast or whatever have you. And then your next 10 days might be detrimental. But one of the things about it, I can easily pick this container up, take it into the house. I can easily come outside and I can pop these hellebores out, and I can use them in a different application inside of my home. I love to use hellebores as houseplants, or I can just let them stay there, let them do whatever they're going to do if they look ratty and tatty after the weather. But then what I can do is I can transition them to somewhere else in the garden, and that's what I like to do when I'm using different plants in containers. Get inside and we'll start planting up those topiaries. But honey, I just had to show you, honey. Let's water these in. I'm going to take the spout off of this. Use the entire contents of this watering can on all 4 of these lemon cypress. Because they just went through a trimming, they are going to be more thirsty. I want my lemon cypress to really transplant effortlessly. I use a starter fertilizer in all of these lemon cypress. Now, because this was their first shaping cut, I went in a little bit heavy on some of the areas. I trimmed up the stem in order to start shaping these lemon cypress to get them looking the way I want them to look. Hold on one second, because I took some cuttings too. All right, this one is draining quite a bit of water, as is this one. I took a lot off of all of these lemon cypress because I wanted to start exposing more of the trunk here and really getting this shaped up the way that I wanted it to be inside of the container. Now, there's a big gash in this lemon cypress right here because I was going to shape it a little bit differently. And then as I started to work with it, I said this would make for a perfect ball. I'm not really concerned with the gash here because it's going to grow back. Till it does, of course, when you have your lemon cypress or any topiary for that matter in place, you want to make sure you're rotating your lemon cypress, whatever type of topiary you're using, and that way it gets even sun, it gets even growth. So then I'll come back in and I'll correct this. But again, I went heavy on the stem here, heavy on the stem of all of these, and these lemon cypress really look more like a bush, and I could have kept them in the perfect globe shape, but I really wanted to start exposing that stem. This lemon cypress right here has 2 leaders. It doesn't have a central leader. I might end up letting these grow out separately and then give me a different shape, or I might end up deciding once it puts on more growth, I can either fuse these together to make one stem like this, so you would just come in and fuse these, or I can just cut one off and then decide which way I'm going. For right now, I went ahead and I left both of them, and that way I'll decide. But it seems like if I do go in for this one right here, if I go in and I pick a central leader, I will more than likely go with this one right here versus this one. I don't know yet, but for right now, we have 2 on a double stem. So I may get a little bit creative with the wood here and train it. You can do so much with topiary. I love topiary, and I'm very excited about this collection here. I'm full on into preparing for my spring show, and I cannot wait for my spring show. But in order to have the look that I'm going for, we have to do a little bit of work with some seedlings, and we're also going to start some seeds. So let's start off with the stock seeds that we planted not too long ago. I have this top over top of the stock seedlings in order to push the stock seedlings over and get as many plants as I can, because I had to remove the bag off early. Take this off, and my soil blocks are dry. Now you can tell that they're dry because of the color of the soil blocks. With your soil blocks, you're going to want them to mimic like a brownie. We'll water these in real quick, and that way when we bump them up, they don't crumble apart. So we're going to give them just a little bit of moisture. Just enough to make sure when I take the soil block apart, it doesn't crumble. So you see how as soon as I moved that soil block over, because it was so dry, it just crumbled up. We don't want that, so we want a moist soil block. Soaked up that water pretty fast, so let me grab some more water. This should be enough right here. And once it soaks in, we'll get these bumped up. All of the water has soaked in the soil blocks. We are able to go in and break these apart and pick them up just like this. And it'll make them perfect for replanting the stock seedlings. So let's get this planted up. Grab some seed trays on the way down here, and we're going to just start off by using these. Now I feel like with the seedlings that I have that came up, we have about 45 stock seedlings or so. Use a seed tray, and the soil block is just the right size to fit on the inside of the tray here. So it'll be real fine just to pop down inside of there. The only thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to fill up the reservoir here. The soil block is about half the size of the tray. This is about our halfway mark, and the soil block should just fit down right on the inside of here. just like that. So after I put my soil block in, I do have a little space where I can go in and make changes, add a little bit more soil on the side. For the most part, this should go really, really fast. I have a full tray of 45 stock seedlings completely done, but I do have about maybe 12 or so left over. Let me check, because we are going to pot them up, but I am not going to use a full tray just for 12 stock seedlings. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And some of these have 2 in them. So like this one has 2, this one has 2, and this one right here has 2. Oh, and here's one coming up here. I grabbed some small containers, and we'll just go ahead and just bump them up to the full size container. We're only using about maybe 14, 15 of these, so it's not going to take up that much space, but we will have to be more conservative about the space that we're using, because I have a lot of seedlings that I'm going to be starting this year. So it really doesn't take much in order to go in and bump these seedlings up, you all. I really love to use my soil blocks. I love soil blocks. Ones that I have left are the ones that are 2 seedlings to a soil block. You can cut the smallest one out, like in this case, we have one that is a true winner, and then we have the other one that, you know, it didn't sprout as fast. But what I like to do is, if I can, I will go in and I will just separate them apart. Okay, so I pricked the first one out. Now I have the other one here. I'll just go ahead and get it potted up real quick. And if it lives, it'll catch up in no time. All right, same thing with this one right here. So this one has 2 on the inside. I should be able to break this up just really, really nice. All of the stock has been bumped up from their original soil block, and now they're in their containers. Now these containers right here, they're going to stay in here until we plant them out into the garden. Ones that are in the tray, we are going to have to end up bumping these up a little bit later, but for right now I need the space. So these are going to grow along in a cooler area, and it's going to be very important for us to grow these along in the cooler area. That way we can pick out the ones that are double versus the stock that have a single bloom. And trust me, it is well worth putting it through this process. It is well worth growing more stock than you need, so that way you can have those beautiful blooms. But at the end of the day, I use the ones with single, and I also use the ones with doubles. I just love having the control over how many doubles versus how many singles will I have. And it changes the look. It takes the look over the top, which is so much more intriguing. It just takes it over the top. Here are the stock seedlings bumped up to their next phase. Everything is looking good. We came in and we successfully separated all of the little seedlings here. So now we can go ahead and get this off the table and put them in their cool place. I am going to give this a little bit of bottom watering. That way everything will have a good drink of water, and it'll help it transplant a lot easier when you make sure that you provide hydration versus dehydration. We're going to be starting some lobularia, and it's going to take about 15 to 20 days in order for the lobularia to germinate. Now, as far as the back of the seed pocket, we're going to go ahead and pop these in. And of course, it's the tiniest seed ever. Child, this seed is so small, it looked like sand, baby. I really could do 2 full trays of just the seeds here. That is so small. Normally when I have seed that's small like this, one tactic that you can do is you can mix it with talcum powder, and that way you'll be able to see it. But I'm just going to have to just sprinkle a little bit and just thin out later. And get me a few pumps in, spray, because when the seed is small like that, you definitely don't want to displace it. And I just love this sprayer. Few more pumps. Sprinkle just a little bit of vermiculite on the top of these seedlings here. Have our Dusty Miller. The Dusty Miller is going to be a perennial in zones 8 to 10, and it takes 7 to 10 days in order to germinate it, and it's telling you to keep the seed temperature about 72 to 75 degrees. It also says not to cover the seed because light is going to aid in germination. So this should go by a lot quicker than the other one, because I have some beautiful begonias that I want to get planted up. And when it says that light aids in germination, I put the smallest amount. I also go back and try to make good contact with the soil, so that way the seedling takes hold once it germinates. And then I go in and I spray lightly, just a light spray. All right, so I have some labels here that we're going to use for our seedlings here. Right now it's easy for me to identify which is which because I know the Dusty Miller, it does not need a lot of vermiculite on it because light is required for germination. But then for the lobularia, I have a quite bit more vermiculite on top of them. But in order for me to keep track of what's what, so we'll get these labeled up now. So we'll just go ahead and do dust on there for Dusty Miller. And we'll just do the mill. And then for the lobularia, we'll just go ahead and put lob. Let's put our hook up. I like to bend these back, but I don't have my tool in here. So I'll just hang this one right here. So it's just telling us right now what the temperature is. I just had the cell packs when we planted them up, but this is a tray that they're going to go inside, and we're going to put some water inside of here. So I have one and I have two, and I also have 2 heat mats down. I also have some distilled water, so we're going to pour the water in. I'm going to use quite a bit of water because I need my seed trays to soak up all of this moisture. So we'll go ahead and pop the Dusty Miller in right here.